Welcome to this edition of Transformation Thursday. As always, we are so grateful and thankful that you have thought it good to hang out with us today and to share this thought with us on this day. Again, we appreciate you so much, and welcome, Dr. Christopher Chappelle. Chris, I want to jump into something on today. I want to first start by giving this story, very quick story. A few weeks ago, I was watching the South Carolina and LSU football game. South Carolina had not beaten LSU since 1994. All those years, they have been terrible. But this is seemingly the year that would change. They have the talent to compete. They have the home crowd behind them. In essence, they have all the tools that they would need to win. And if you watch that game, South Carolina jumped out quickly to a 17-point lead, and it looked all but certain that they would win the game. They start to celebrate because they're up by such a large lead, and the crowd is celebrating. Everything is going their way. But they lose focus. And they start making careless mistakes and committing undisciplined penalties. And ultimately, what should have been their year to beat a team that they hadn't beaten since 1994, it turned into another loss. And such is the case with too many today. We spend so much time and energy and resources to only look like we're winning, only to be losing. Jesus said in John chapter 10, he said that I came that you may have life, and that you may have life more abundantly. In other words, he said, I came so that you don't just look like you're winning, but that you're actually winning. And so the question for us today is, how do we not just look the part? How do we not just look like we are winning and look like we're living a full and abundant life? And how do we actually win? That's our question. How do we actually win and not just look like we're winning?
Great question, Doc. So I think it falls into simple terms as to how we navigate this space. First of all, I believe that we have to clear what society has in terms of expectation of what winning looks like, right? Because if we look at a lot of examples in the Bible, and when it appears that one is winning, then it may not necessarily be the case. Matter of fact, one of the stories I recall is when David was talking about how he almost slipped because he was looking and it looked like they were, like, other people were prosperous and they were wicked and all this other kind of stuff. Like, how can they be moving forward? So the first problem is the first thing is not to focus on anybody else, but focus on your game, focus on your objectives and what's important to you. and understand that your role isn't anyone else's but yours. And then once you embrace that, then you have to make sure that you're executing on the details of the path that God has charted for you or laid out before you. So if you just think about it for a second, if you are a person who invests and you say, well, I don't have as much to invest as someone else, and you fail to make the investment, well, you already behind because you failed to do a thing that will separate you from like staying on the cycle, right? So you have to be willing to start where you are, know where you are, and know that the path is yours. It's not like anybody else's. And once you do that, I think you start to move in that direction. And I guess the continue that, then you have to practice diligence. If it's not about a one-time act, you have to continue to repeat over and over and over again and work it until it works. And I believe if we continue to do those things, then we will ultimately find the space that we're looking for. Because I was just reading a post not long ago. One of the newsletters that I read, the writer said, we finally made it to 50,000 subscribers. And that was exciting to me, right? The fact that the writer stayed diligent. But she mentioned something that was important. She said, I've been doing this for 14 years. And in many of those first years, she showed a chart of her growth. It was only in the last 3 years where she saw exponential growth in her subscribership. But and she said, I was riding into the void, but I continue to believe that it will work. And sometimes you have to continue down the path, even when it doesn't look like it's working. Even when, others say, well, why are you doing it? You should quit. You should turn around. It's not working. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
You have to believe in what you have and the vision that God has given you, and know that there's of Him and move towards that.
Yeah, I like that. Man, you brought out so many points right there. I want to just try to dig in a little bit, a couple of those. I mean, the first point where you talked about, watching other people. I remember this. I remember a couple years, I guess it's been now maybe about 8 years or so. If you can remember, one of the greatest swimmers of all time, Phelps, he was racing, he was doing his thing, swimming, and one of his greatest competitions, they were literally almost neck and neck. They're almost neck and neck. Phelps is looking at the finish line, but his competition is looking at him. And as he's looking at him, Phelps is gradually moving ahead of him. And ultimately, he wins because he focused on the goal and his competition focused on him. And too often, we focus on the competition and the perceived competition and the things that are around us versus the goal that God has for us, the purpose that He has for us. But if we just tune in to the purpose that He has for us and tune into our goal, then we don't have time to pay attention to the competition or the perceived competition on the side of us. We're focused in and tuned in to our goal. I was I tend to fly a lot, and every time I get on a plane, I naturally turn my attention to the cockpit. My eyes just go that way, and I find myself looking into the cockpit. And in the cockpit, there's a pilot, but there's also a co-pilot.
Well,
The co-pilot's job or purpose is to go alongside the pilot and to help him or her navigate the plane to its destination. As I was thinking about how we win and not just look like win, like we look like we're winning. John chapter 14 and 16 came to my mind. Jesus is preparing his disciples for life without his physical presence. And he says, I'll pray the Father that he will send you another helper that will be with you forever. And what I have come to realize is that God, one, promised us life, and a fulfilled life, or an abundant life, a life where we're not just looking like we're winning, but we're winning. But he promised to also give us a co-pilot to help us navigate this thing called life, to live in purpose, to live the abundant life that he has promised us. He's given us a co-pilot that lives on the inside of us, that helps us to be more than conquerors, to help us to overcome any challenge or anything that comes our way. In essence, we have a co-pilot. His name is the Holy Spirit. And he helps us to do this thing called life and to win at it. We don't just live. We don't just look like we're winning. We win it because we have a co-pilot that's on the inside of us, giving us all the things that we need to navigate this thing called life. And we access our co-pilot by faith. We access that power of our co-pilot by faith. And so we just don't look like we're winning. We win. We win in every single area of our lives. We win in our relationships. We win in our purpose. We win in that business idea, in that dream that he gave. We win in everything we do. We don't just look like we're winning, but we win. I will leave you with a final thought.
There's nothing else to say after that. That's the thought. When we trust him, we win. It's that simple. I can't say it any better than you just expressed. So that's it. All we need now is our affirmation.
Well, we affirm with all certainty, with all of our might, that we will not just look like we're winning, but we will win because we have our co-pilot. We winning. See you next week on Transformation Thursday.